isa-isa lumalabas na yung totoo na yun, sila pala ang nagpapasok sa NBI, sila Senate President Soto, coordinated pala yun. Yung Wednesday, May 13 na sinisisi sa amin ay yung pala ay alam din nila nung iba na nandyan sa labas, armado, tapos imbestigahan, wag imbestigahan. Hanggang ngayon, hindi inimbestigahan. And then yung walkout na parang tama sila, wag palitan yung rule na walang one-day notice. Ngayon, nakita nyo, binasura na yung rules, binabasura yung constitution, pinalitan yung rule kung sino magpre-preside sa impeachment. So going back sa may pinaglalaban, we're fighting for something. So now, we're fighting for truth, na lumabas yung buong katotohanan, maging sa impeachment yan, maging sa Blue Ribbon Committee, maging sa leadership sa Senate. We're fighting na independent ang Senado at hindi utus-utusan lang ng Malacanang. We're fighting na mawala ang corruption at mawala ang poverty sa ating bansa. We're fighting na bawat sentimo na ibayad ng bawat Pilipino ay magamit sa tamang mga proyekto, parang walang mamatay na dahil walang gamot o walang doktor, wala pong mastant which leaves permanent damage sa ating future generations, stunting yung pagkabansot. We're fighting na lahat ng Pilipino has equal opportunity sa pag-aaral. We're fighting for a living wage, no? Meaning, hindi lang minimum wage na, ayan, kumikita ka na ng konti. Hindi. Yung sapat para sa dignified o marangal na pagkabuhay ng Pilipino, no? Hindi lang sa sarili pero sa kanyang pamilya niya. Lahat ng ito may cost. So kung pinag-aaralan po natin ang mga heroes nung Pilipinas during sa panahon ng panahon po ng Hapon, panahon po ng Espanyol, hindi lang po pawis, hindi lang dugo, kundi buhay ang kanilang binuwis. For us who are martial law babies, of course, the narrative na baka naging communist country din tayo like the other. Mahirap kasi ikwento sa inyo yung narrative ngayon kasi yung dalawang communist countries na malapit sa atin, malapit geographically like Vietnam and China are much more modern sa atin pagdating sa education, technology, sa economics, yung socio-economic welfare ng tao. Kung hindi lumalaban ay mas maganda sa atin. But during the 70s, 80s, hindi po ako 60s kaya hindi ko na masasagot yun. Even 70s, I was from 1 year old to 10 years old, no? Or from 0 to 10. So ang point ko is that during this time, yung sabihin na baka mapunta sa communism yung ating bansa or baka maging napaka-corrupt because of the oligarchs was reason for the narrative nung martial law. So hindi naman yun ang topic ko tonight. But may cost yung mga lumaban during that time. So pagdating ng EDSA Revolution, even before that, Senator Benigno Aquino, meron pong cost. Hindi lang po yung buhay niya, buhay ng pamilya niya, friends niya, pagpapalaki ng mga anak niya, yung wife niya, yung paglipat nila sa ibang bansa, yung kanyang hunger strike, and eventually, he had the sense that he will be killed. But he made that commitment that ibibigay niya yung buhay niya. So may cost. Kaya nga nung sinabi niyang the Filipino is worth dying for, it wasn't something lightly said because I think part of him knew that assassination would be coming. But even if assassination did not happen, yung commitment na yon may cost po yon. At right before this broadcast, I'd like to send out my love to the whole Villanueva family. Nag-heart-to-heart kami ni Brother Joel. And even if I know the cost, it's not something you can feel unless ikaw talaga. So for example, may mga anak-anakan ako, pero siya real yung nararamdaman ng anak. May asawa ko, pero iba yung nararamdaman ng asawa ko sa pinagdaanan nilang mag-asawa, di ba? So it's different for every single person, for Senator Cheese, for Senator Jinggoy. Senator Jinggoy, Nandun ako in the room nung kinukuha siya, and no one can say that we understand how his wife felt. Especially after alam nung wife niya na talagang inoffer sa kanya, hindi ka makukulong, kumampi ka lang sa administrasyon, kumampi ka lang sa grupo ni Ping Lacson, ni Senator Tito Soto, Win Gatchalian, etc. No? So, may kosto mga kababayan. Ang kalayaan at independence ng Senado, independence ng Philippines. So, hinihila tayo ngayon ng China at saka ng US in different ways. No? But kaya sabi ko, we don't need to be anti-China or anti-US to be pro-Philippines. You can be pro-Philippines without being anti-anyone. Kailangan lang independent ka. Hindi ka dependent kahit sa ibang bansa. That's what it means to be sovereign. Hindi ka kumukuha sa outside influence. That's what it means when we say God is sovereign. He will do what He wants to do because He does not need outside forces. Hindi ako sovereign because I'm not perfect and I need God to sustain me. And God uses people, uses your prayers, uses your support, uses purpose to sustain. So the point I want to make today is that kung may cost ang independence, meron din pong cost kung hindi tayo lumaban. Ha? Kung hindi lumaban ang ating mga national heroes during the Spanish time, it would have been harder during because there would not be reforms, and we might still be a colony to this day. Kung walang cost yung paglaban sa mga Hapon during that time, mas maraming na-rape, mas maraming napatay, mas maraming karumal-dumal na nangyari sa ating bansa, or baka ginamit din tayo sa pag-invade ng ibang mga bansa sa Asia if lahat tayo ay naging collaborators or kumampi lang. Ganun din sa US. Kung hindi tumayo ang maraming mga Pilipino para sabihin, big brother ka namin, Uncle Sam, but you're not the owner of me, or di ba famously sinabi ng ating dating Pangulo na he'd rather have a country run like hell by Filipinos rather than a country run by foreigners. And unfortunately, nagkatotoo na kahit Pilipino ang humawak sa Pilipinas, in many aspects, it's run like hell in terms of corruption, idolatry, immorality, small things that seem small, like the Pogo, Isabong, nawala yon, nilabanan natin, pero nandyan pa yung online gaming. Lumaban tayo sa health, pero nandyan yung vape na pinagbabawal sa ibang mga bansa. All of this may cost. So, may kita dun sa mga kumita through that, pero I'm talking about kumita through that illegally, no? Meaning, it changed public policy kasi nagkalagayan dyan or nagka-lobby money dyan. So, lahat ng bagay po may cost. So, pinag-uusapan nga namin ni Joel na parang kung alam lang nung lahat, yung mga nagsasabing you just want power, no? Konting katahimikan lang sa buhay ng grupo namin ngayon is paradise already, di ba? Yung di ba pag halimbawa pagka araw-araw sa restaurant ka kumakain, parang sa pinakamahal na restaurant ang paradise sa'yo. Pero kung araw-araw nandun ka sa noodles lang or kanin, nung time namin hindi noodles ang symbol nung kahirapan talaga, kung hindi yung kanin lang at asin, di ba? Yung wala nang ulam halos, no? Makakain lang ng konting kanin, pero kahit ngayon mahal ang bigas. Yung makapag-Jollibee, maka-McDo, yung may fried chicken, or yung nga iba yung parang yung kanin, mabuhusan lang ng ginisang munggo sa ibabaw, sobrang luxury na yon, di ba? So alam nyo, sa pinagdadaanan sa maraming lumalaban ngayon, not only for Senate independence, but para lumabas ang totoo sa flood control, lumalaban sa administrasyon, paradise na po yung konting katahimikan, no? But the question is the cost worth it? Nabanggit ko na po kanina yung sinabi ni Senator Benigno Aquino that the Filipino is worth fighting for. So that's why now and then po, wag ma-offend yung iba. gamitin ko talaga yung laban kasi we have to continue fighting. Laban lang po. It's worth the fight. We have to continue fighting, no? Once, we're a product of hope. Kailangan ng pag-asa. Ang lahat kailangan ng pag-asa. It's the end pag wala ka ng pag-asa. And to many, during the 70s, 80s, yung senyas ng kalangitan, ibig sabihin may lumalaban pa. So, even yung daily na laban namin sa Senate na parang isa-isa lumalabas na yung totoo, na yun, sila pala ang nagpapasok sa NBI, sila Senate President Soto, coordinated pala yun. Yung Wednesday, May 13 na sinisisi sa amin ay yung pala ay alam din nila nung iba na nandyan sa labas, armado, tapos imbestigahan, wag imbestigahan, na hanggang ngayon hindi inimbestigahan. And then yung walkout na parang tama sila, wag palitan yung rule na walang one-day notice. Ngayon, nakita nyo, binasura na yung rules, binabasura yung constitution, pinalitan yung rule kung sino magpre-preside sa impeachment. Tapos, instinct ko, sana papurihin si Senator Win Gatchalian nung sinabi niyang 16 talaga yung kailangan para makonvict ang impeachable officer. Pero biglang binura sa Facebook niya. I don't know the details so I won't comment there. But the problem is trust Sinabi din nila paulit-ulit, kung wala kayong 13, hindi nyo pwedeng palitan yung officers. Hindi lang yung Senate President. The officers are the head of OSAA, the Senate Secretary, Senate President Pro Tempore, which is Senator Loren Legarda, and the Senate President. Pero gumawa sila ng formula na pwede na ang 12 So, yung modern day version ng pinaglalaban during the Spanish-Japanese time, American times na lies. So, during the Spanish times, yung di kayo organized, hindi nyo alam yung gobyerno, you don't know Christianity. So, all of that were partially true, but you didn't need to colonize a country to Christianize a country, di ba? So, yan, very clear yan. You didn't need to make people slaves, whether it's the African Americans or the kind of slavery they had in Asian countries. You didn't have to have slaves to say na it's in the name of Christianity or the name of good governance, di ba? So, yun yung modern version ngayon na 12 is 13. You need 13, but you can justify because you need the Senate and you need to cover up the flood control scam, di ba? So, my point is there is the trust. Ang trust, basta't nandyan, you can work kahit na enemy mo. Pero pag nawala yung trust, so once na paulit-ulit yung mga mananakop sasabihin, we'll give you your freedom, we'll give you your freedom, nakita mong binobola ka rin, di ba? So, ganun din, nung February, nung sinabi nila na wala kayong kaso kapag hindi nyo nilagay si Loren Legarda as Senate President. Naniwala yung marami namin kasama. But then, nabuko nila, gagamitin na naman to sa impeachment. Paulit-ulit sinasabi sa amin na ang impeachment, impartial. Pero yung definition pala nila impartial, kailangan i-convict ang Vice President. So, nung lumaban at sinabing, wag lang si Loren, nung ako na nilagay, ayan na naman. Pagka umalis kayo kay Alan, wala na kayong kaso. Pag nandiyan kayo kay Alan, kakasuhan kayo. 'Di ba? That's why nga iba po yung reaction ng pamilya ni Senator Jinggoy because alam nila yung totoo. Talagang na-witness din po nila yung mga tumatawag at mga nagsasabi at mga naggagaranti. So may cost po. If we don't do anything now, the cost will not fall on me immediately. It will eventually, 'di ba, yung may individual akong pananagutan, pamilya ko, bayan ko, syudad ko, community. But it's really the next generation. So in the same manner na lumaban ng EDSA 1, EDSA 2, lumaban sa Napoles sa napakaraming scandal is because we wanted it to end. Repentance, then reformation, restitution was there. Hindi lang yun masyadong keyword dati, ngayon keyword siya. Pero pagbabago, renewal. 'Di ba sa tunay na renewal, the old is gone, 'di ba? So when you say that you're a new creation in Christ, it's a work of progress, pero kung dati may idols ka, dapat wala na. Kung dati immoral ka, dapat nawawala yung immorality. Kung dati nagnanakaw ka, hindi ka na dapat nagnanakaw. So that's the problem. kung papayag tayo na i-maneuver lang itong flood control, at nakita na po natin, lalo po sa Blue Ribbon, headed by Senator Lacson, at hindi pa ho tapos, in-expect po namin, part of their playbook yan, mangligaw, mag-offer ng kung ano, no, kung hindi, mag-threaten, kung hindi, itutuloy nila threat nila. False witnesses, maglalabas ng mga contractor, di ba kinuha ngayon si Diskaya. Meron na pong bumaliktad dun sa mga DPWH na sinabi nila na binidiktahan din sila kung ano sasabihin. Yung unang sinabi ni Yusek Bernardo, nagbago din yon. Kay Senator Joel Villanueva, apat na yung version nung paano siya supposedly guilty. And none of those versions are true. So ganun din, na ngayon na kinuha na si Mr. Diskaya from the Senate, sabi niya na damay-damay na, sasama na lahat ng kilala niyang police. That's good. But there's nothing stopping the creative people in this administration from saying, we'll take care of you, eto mga ituro mo. Then suddenly, may kaso, whether sa DOJ at Ombudsman, then suddenly you're facing jail. Then finally, it's true. That's why pinilit nilang makulong si Jinggoy kasi sabi niya, nawawalan na ng takot yung iba, lumalaban na. So kailangan natin ipakita na totoo. At madali kay Jinggoy kasi usual suspect, di ba? So wala nang maniniwala sa tingin nila na Jinggoy sacrificed because ayaw umiwalay sa grupo. But siya na nagsabi, he has evidence in the right time. Payagan natin siya magsabi sino at ano yung ebidensya. Pero mabigat po yung ebidensya and it will show. I've been hearing the last few days, there's so much evidence against the major players dun sa flood control. And everyone saying sana lumabas. That's why nga, pinanghawakan pa rin natin yung Blue Ribbon Committee. The other point I want to make about counting the cost is, yun nga, ano yung cost sa next generation? Kapag kinover up natin to, may cost. So ulitin ko pag lumaban ka ngayon, may cost. May cost. Aapihin ka, dudurugin ka sa media at social media, kakasuhan ka, baka ikulong ka pa. Sana naman walang papatay, pero that's always there whether sadya or may nagkamali yung patayan. But that is the cost for people who will fight. So I'm not dissuading people from joining the fight because we need you. We need the prayers, we need the commitment, we need more independent heads to stand up and say, mali na to, lumaban tayo. Pero may cost din yung hindi lumaban. Yung cost are the millions of Filipinos who will have to go abroad because walang trabaho dito. The cost will be the millions of Filipinos na hindi mapapagamot kasi nanakaw yung panggamot or pang-ospital. The cost will be millions of Filipinos na mababansot because there's not enough money or not enough programs for the first 1,000 days ng buhay ng tao, no? Or including yung healthcare nung buntis, di ba? The cost is, huli na tayo sa tourism, halimbawa sa education, or as a country, no? There was a time in the 60s, second to Japan tayo. Then there was a time second to the last. Then during the time of President Ramos, yun, umarangkada na tayo. During the time of President Pinoy, umarangkada na tayo. During the first 3 years ng Duterte administration, grabe na po yung pinuntahan ng ating ekonomiya. Not perfect, nandun ng corruption, but it wasn't systemic. Now it's back to being systemic. So do you want to be truly free? To be truly free, we have to have the culture and we have to have the environment, we have to have the laws and the system that guarantees that freedom. So the Constitution is a good start. Pero kung mismong Constitution hindi natin masunod at kung mismong Senado ay ibabasura ang sariling rules at ang Constitution, how do we expect that the other laws, di ba? So kung senador mismo pwedeng kasuhan or wag kasuhan sa flood control, what do you think magagawa sa ordinaryong konsehal, mayor, governor, di ba? So yes, we want a big fish, but we want the real fish. We don't want a sacrificial lamb na fish, di ba? Or we want the people who really did it para meron talagang saying, may katuparan yung sinasabing crime does not pay. So when you pay, that's a cost, di ba? Umutang ka, kailangan mo magbayad. You do the crime, you have to do the time. So again, you're going back to what is the cost. So yun po ang hinihingi ko po sa mga kapatid nating media, sa mga kapwa nating senador, sa mga netizens natin, sa mga businessman natin. This weekend, as we talk about independence, let's think about the cost. Ano yung cost kung lumaban tayo? Ano yung cost kung i-expose natin? May personal cost po to ha, pero yung benefit po ay sa buong bayan. Samantalang pag tumahimik tayo, may personal gain po to. Pero yung epekto naman po sa buong bayan. Di ba? I don't want to compare yung mga lumalaban ngayon sa ating mga national heroes kasi grabe po ang pinagdaanan ng ating mga national heroes. I cannot imagine. I don't want present-day Christians now to compare themselves to yung pinagdaanan ng apostles, for example. Or for a people to compare sa pinagdaanan ng Israelites, for example, when they were in Egypt, di ba? Iba-iba po ang season, iba-iba po ang pinagdadaanan, but each season po ay meron pong cost. Cost if we do the right thing, cost if we do the wrong thing. So in a couple of days, we're gonna face many issues, an economic crisis. Are we gonna tell the people kung ano talaga ang sitwasyon, kung may pera ba talaga ang bansa o hindi? Are we gonna tell them why we have or don't have money? Are we gonna tell them the truth whether we're gonna increase taxes or not? Are we gonna tell them the truth nasaan na yung pera the last few years? Okay. We're also gonna face an impeachment. So are we gonna tell the people the truth? Are we going to really have an impartial trial or aayusin at luto na to? Are we gonna tell them the truth that dapat 16 to convict? Or babawasan ba natin ng 6 na senador para maging 12 na lang? No? We're gonna face ilan pagsubok, lumabas ang totoo. Again ha, pag lumabas yung 18, sabi nila may 4 pa daw, 18 na former Marines, hindi ko alam yung 14 kung ano yung ano nila. Meron pong mga key people na may mga key evidence. Hindi ko sinasabi na lahat ng sasabihin nila ay totoo or may totoo, hindi totoo. Ang point ko po, it's our job to listen to them. It's the job of the Blue Ribbon Committee. Invite lahat. Kung kalokohan ang sinasabi nito, so sabi nung iba, Sir, over the years, ang daming nag-witness dyan na kalokohan. Yes. Paano nabisto na kalokohan yung sinasabi? Because nag-witness sila doon. Because you had different senators from different backgrounds, different styles of questioning them. Then you had an active media. Wala pang social media masyado nun. So lalo po ngayon, maglagay ka dyan ng 1, 18, 100 na may ebidensya, pictures, video, testimony. Mako-compare natin lahat ng date niya. Makikita natin yan kung deepfake yan, kung edited yung pictures, kung edited yung video, kung AI yan, kung totoo, di ba? So, but the point is, if we cover it up, grabe po ang magiging cost at ang magsasuffer nito next generation. I'll close by remembering when, naiyak-iyak ng dad ko pag nung EDSA Revolution. Before pa pumutok lahat yon, no? I think it was a day before. Kasi nga pinapa-secure niya kami, tapos gusto niya mag-abroad muna kami, kaya Amerikana nga yung aking nanay. But nung sinabi namin, if you're going to fight, we're going to fight. And I was 15 years old. Sister was a little bit older. My brothers were much younger. My mom didn't know what was happening, but she hardly saw my dad in tears, no? So he maiyak-iyak lang, but nung sinabi namin, we'll stay. If you're gonna fight, we're gonna fight. Doon siya naiyak kasi sabi niya, I'm doing it for you. I'm doing it for you. So napakaraming beses all throughout our life na mag-aral ka na mabuti, Alan, para sa iyo to, di ba? Alan, bakit mababa grades mo? Di ba yung mapapamanahan kita pero magagastos mo lang yan. Pero mag-aral ka, para sa iyo to. Pia, hindi ka pwedeng pumunta sa party na walang chaperone, para sa iyo to. Many times it was about discipline. And later on in life, para sa iyo to. But yung sacrifice, he meant it. And in fact, fast forward, in his last few months, nung umiiyak siya, nung sasakit, and then he told me, Alan, nung 60s, nandito ako sa Amerika. High hopes for the Philippines, pero ganito Pilipinas. So isipin mo yon, 2003. But sabi niya, 40 years later or 30 years later, ganun pa rin ang Pilipinas. Sabi niya, ganun pa rin ang hope siya, pero ganun. Tapos umiiyak siya. Tapos sinasabi ko, Dad, don't lose hope. So can you imagine the sacrifices in 1986? Now it's 40 years later. 40 years was the number of years that the Israelites were in the desert. And I've always thought it was simply because of disobedience. Because disobedient, paulit-ulit, ang people of God, hindi pinayagan na ang few weeks, a few days, or 2 weeks na biyahe by foot, mapunta na sa Israel, ay naging 40 years. But may nag-explain po, and I've seen a lot of preaching after that, na nagsabing, the Israelites were taken out of Egypt, but Egypt was not taken out of their minds. Meaning, they still thought as slaves. So they cannot be conquerors in the new land unless they learn to be conquerors. And because of many things, including disobedience, they did not learn to be conquerors. Kailangan maubos ang generation nila. Kaya yung new generation na ang pumasok. So when natapos yung martial law, nagkaroon ng new constitution, sabi nung iba, hindi nawala yung corruption, na decentralized lang. So dati centralized sa Malacanang at sa executive ang corruption. Ngayon may corruption sa legislative, sa konsehal, sa barangay, businessman, yun din ang sinasabi. Dati I just have to contend with the USEC, naging director. Dati I just have contend to the mayor, ngayon panay barangay captain. So nandyan yung mga problema. But the question is, after 40 years ng EDSA revolution, is the new generation, kami na yon, mga martial law babies, ready to turn over to the next generation to say, we're ready to be corrupt-free. So, yun po yung cost ng laban namin ngayon. We cannot turn over to you a corrupt-free Philippines pag hindi tayo lumaban. And dun sa mga Gen Z na hindi naiintindihan yung laban ngayon, hindi rin namin maintindihan yung laban ng parents namin noon. Kaming mga pro-Marcos, simple lang. Pro-Cory kayo, pro-Marcos kami. Ganun kami, ganyan kayo. At that time, it was simple. Dalawang na lang eh. Sa basketball, Crispa, Toyota. Sa toothpaste, Colgate, Close-Up. Sa camera, Kodak, Fuji, dalawa lang pagpipilian. Ngayon, magulo na. Multi-party. Everyone, may sobrang left, may sobrang right, may pink, may original yellow, may pink lawan, may DDS, merong DDS pero hindi ako ganito. May Marcos alone, may Marcos pa rin, may Marcos na rin. So, gumugulo. At saka dati, dyaryo, ilan lang, TV, ilan lang, radyo per province, yung top 3. Ngayon, with social media, everyone has, So, iba po ang laban ngayon. We cannot solve today's problems with yesterday's solution. Iba na po. And yes, this laban na to, hindi lang to laban nung ka-age ko at mas matanda sa akin. Laban to ng ating mga Gen Z, ng mga bata ngayon. Those between, 15, 16, 17 to 30. Laban nyo to kasi you will inherit. So some of you think we're wrong and it's better the direction we were taking. Some of you think we're right. Hindi yun yung topic natin tonight. Ang topic natin tonight, simple lang, may cost. May cost na mag-decide kayong lumaban, may cost din para sabihin natin hindi lumaban. And if you ask me tonight, if we want a real independent Philippines, kung gusto nyo na every year sasabihin natin, ngayon taon na to, mas malaya tayo, kailangan tuloy-tuloy ang laban. Pag kumakanta po tayo ng ating national anthem, yung Lupang Hinirang, ang sinasabi po natin, ang mamatay ng dahil sa iyo. So we're singing to ourselves for the world to hear, but we're singing it to ourselves. So when the athletes were so proud of wins the gold medal and they're hearing, kung willing ka nga mamatay para sa ating bansa, ano pa yung mag-training ka na napakahirap para umabot doon? Di ba? So to certain groups of people, let's say to doctors during COVID, na frontliners, yung pagkanta nila ng mamatay ng dahil sa iyo is not only totoo, it is real every day. Sa mga pulis na kahit off duty, pag may krimen, they have to rush to the site rather than run away. Totoo, yung mamatay ng dahil sa iyo kasi nga any day they can face death. To the AFP that's assigned to areas na meron pang rebelde, totoo yung mamatay ng dahil sa iyo. Even if we don't agree with the hard left, with the communist, yung gigising sila umaga na baka may enkwentro sila sa AFP, kung kumakanta sila ng lupang hinirang, totoo sa kanila yung mamatay ng dahil sa iyo. Kasi nga, hindi lang totoo, but it's clear and present. To many of us, it's a possibility, but it's not a probability. Okay. However, if we can sing, mamatay ng dahil sa iyo, that means, pwede rin tayong kumanta ng magsakripisyo dahil sa iyo. Pwede din dun yung magdasal dahil sa iyo. Nandun din yung mag-rally dahil sa iyo. Nandun din yung lumaban. Di ba? So, when we sing the national anthem in the next few days, and when we remember June 12, let's remember meron tayong pinaglalaban. And I will end by saying, I wholeheartedly believe we were made in the image and nature of God. So God wants us free. God wants us independent. But God wants us dependent to Him, but independent of other forces. No? So let's pray for a country that is free from idolatry, free from immorality, free from sickness, free from poverty, free from corruption. But we have to put action to our faith. Meaning, pray, tapos lumaban, kumilos tayo. I will respect your views and your ways of fighting. Ang importante, lumaban tayo at ang importante, una sa Diyos, pagkatapos sa pamilya, and para sa bayan.
Basta saka ko na ilalabas yung mga ebidensya, but basically ang sinasabi, nakipagsabuatan si Senator Lacson sa administrasyon para iporma laban kay Jinggoy, kay Cheese, kay Joel, etc. Senator Coco and Senator Tito said independent Senate, kailangan na walang impluwensya ang Malacanang, etc., etc. So the rest is history, but that's my first point, no? Tinanggihan ko yon on the matter of principle, hindi ko nakuha. Fast forward 2025, nung nanalo na po sila Senator Lacson, Senator Tito, Senator Bam, Senator Kiko, etc. Kinontak ako ng isang malapit sa Pangulo, etc. At sinabi kung hindi matatanggal si Cheese, ako na lang. No, walang basbas ng Malacanang to, pero ang kausap sila Senator Tito, etc. And it happened a second time nung uusapan namin yung tungkol sa Commission on Appointments. Sinabi sa akin ni Senator Loren yun, na alam mo naman kung anong offer. Sabi ko, guys, para kung kapatid na si Cheese, marami na rin kaming beses na magkalaban, but we promise each other to pray together, consult each other, move forward each other. So, naintindihan ko karamdaman nyo, pero hindi ko pwedeng kunin sa kanya. I can't do that, no? So, tinanggihan ko ulit. Okay. February 2026, yung ibang mga kasamahan ko, sinabi na, ginamit na yung blue ribbon, may mga pinagtakpan sa majority nila, no? May mga pinakita sa akin whether ito'y pong... Basta saka ko na ilalabas yung mga ebidensya, but basically ang sinasabi, nakipagsabuatan si Senator Lacson sa administrasyon para iporma laban kay Jinggoy, kay Cheese, kay Joel, etc. Regardless kung may zero truth, partial truth, or whatever. And then may mga pinagtakpan, no? From masterminds lower. And then iba-ibang grupo 'yon, ha. Wala pa atang 18 noon eh. Yung Marines. So, ang inudyukan namin noon ay si Senator Loren. So, again, wala naman nagsabing dapat ako, binigay ko sa kanya. Tapos nag-usap kami, sabi niya, Alan, sana tayong dalawa. No? But, kaming dalawa, meaning mag-sharing din kami. So, when we were going to execute, dahil may 14 na kami, biglang may mga tumawag at doon po nag-umpisa. Doon ko nalaman na negotiable pala yung mga kaso nila. Kasi tinawagan na yung mga may kaso, huwag nyo lang iboto si Loren, bawiin nyo, hindi na kayo kakasuhan. At yung isa doon, na witness ko mismo dahil sa harap ko, tinawagan yung isang high official at narinig ko yung pinag-usapan. So, we stopped there kasi nga may isa naman, wala naman siyang kaso, yung kunikwento ko sa inyo. Pero nagulat ako, takot na takot, no? And isang dahilan takot, minsan medyo napitik din siya na baka banggitin ang pangalan niya. Although he swears, wala naman siya. At doon ko nga nakita na grabe ang leeway ni Senator Lacson na kasi may sinabi si Senator Lacson doon na parang hindi, kausapin natin yung mga namamahala kasi yung witness na yan ay hindi credible. Pero pagdating kay Joel Villanueva, pagdating kay Jinggoy, pagdating kay Cheese, credible naman yung, well, wala si Cheese ata sa witness na yon, no? Pero dun sa dalawa, or at least kay Senator Joel, yung witness na, yung particular witness na yon. So what happened is sometime March, I went to see two people. No, one is someone not in government, very close to the president, and the other one is very, very high official. Basically, ang sinabi ko, sumunod yung mga kasama ko, hindi naman inelect si Senator Loren, kami tatlo lang ang gusto namin. One, tutukan yung ekonomiya ng ating bansa kasi kahit na hindi inaamin ng Malacanang, no? Not exactly in these words, no? But basically, it took some time for Malacanang to admit that there's a crisis. And they didn't create the crisis. The crisis came from the US, Iran, and Israel conflict. No? But it took in denial for the first 2 weeks ang Malacanang. Samantalang every other government in ASEAN, around the world, in Asia, were already pinoporma na nila yung mga contingency plans. Diba? That's why nga, nag-file ako, pero sinabi nila Senator Tito, SP, wag lagyan ng ilang days yung contingency plan ng Malacanang and then afterwards yung Protect Committee, ako at mga staff ko nag-draft noon para nga may pressure sa Malacanang na to deal with the economic. Okay, pangalawa, sinasabi nila importante impeachment and sabi na hindi namin papangako boto namin kasi nga we have to do it sa ebidensya. So panay ang tanong sa amin, so you will allow na lumabas yung ebidensya? Sabi niya, of course, that's part of our job. Hindi namin job ay i-convict o kaya i-acquit na mag-a-act kami as prosecutors or as defense lawyers. Ang trabaho namin mag-judge, no? And then, syempre may magtatanong sa Blue Ribbon. Sabi namin, wala kaming specific target except yung katotohanan. Meaning, there has to be a way that the Blue Ribbon will not be used as a tool laban lang sa kalaban ng mga administrasyon, then mapagtakpan yung totoo. Of course, at that time, hindi ko pa alam yung main allegations regarding certain Malacanang personalities and going all the way to the top. Of course, marami ng yung Cabral files, yung by March ba, I think nandun na yung Marines, and then also yung Bersamin files. Basta't marami yan, no? So, basically, ang message ko was, malabo namang makabuo kami, pero it's always possible. So, ang pinapaabot lang namin sa Malacanang ay hindi na po feasible yung Tito Soto, Risa Hontiveros, Kiko Pangilinan, Lacson, Group of 4, Gang of 4, na pagpapatakbo ng Senado. Because it wasn't productive anymore. Panay 2028 lang ang issue, tapos maraming pinagtatakpan, tapos hindi nakatutok sa pangangailangan ng tao. They didn't listen to me. So on May 11, we got the majority. Okay? Hindi namin alam na si Senator Soto mismo, si SP, nagpapasok ng mga NBI at mahigit na 20 ahente nakakalat na sa buong Senate. That's never happened before. They've always coordinated, stayed in one place, and then talked kung paano. Parang kay Senator Jinggoy, napakaayos. Actually, it would have been better kung pinayagan nila ako i-escort sa labas. But nakita nyo, maayos. So yung May 11, in hindsight makikita nyo na po mga kababayan na May 11, set up nila yon. May 13, sila naglagay ng full battle gear ng mga NBI at mapapatunayan namin, Senate premises po yon. So, ang point ko po, sila yung nanggulo, yung 11 kakampi ang Malacanang, kakampi po ang NBI, tapos pinapalabas, ako at kami ang magulo. Clear na yon, hindsight ha. Even yung walkout, nung sila nag-walkout, 12, wala daw quorum. Nung nagka-12 sila, meron na biglang quorum. Nung sinabi nila, gusto lang nila magtrabaho. Di ba? Nakita nyo naman po, hindi man lang nagbigay ng mga pangalan sila dun sa mga committee. So, paano nila sasabihin gusto nila magtrabaho? Tapos nakita nyo, nung sinabi nila si Senator Wing ay acting Senate President, unang issuance, work from home. Nung pumasok pa rin ang mga taga-Senado, ang sinabi, alas 10, umuwi na kayo. Hindi ba katawa-tawa yon? Di ba yung sasabihin sa iyo, work, let's get back to work. Tapos yung unang i-issue is to work from home, then the next day, umuwi na kayo. 10 o'clock pa lang, pinapauwi na. Kaya nga sabi ko, mag-ingat si Senator Win, kasi maganda naman future niya. Huwag ka magpagamit sa Malacanang at dun sa mga kasamahan mo, kahit binibigyan ka ng high position. I'll give you the advice that someone I really respect gave me, which is, receive, don't grab. I didn't grab the Senate presidency in 2016. I didn't grab it in 2025. I didn't grab it in February 2022. But to God's grace, napunta sa akin. By the way, no, kung nakuha ko yon earlier, kasi di ba nagsama-sama Senator Coco, Senator Tito, Senator Frank Drilon, Senator Mig Subiri. Alam nyo kasi siya sabi nila masarap maging Senate President. Yun yung reading between the line ha. Kasi usually tens of billions ang pwede mo ipasok sa budget. Usually yan, malaking mga discretionary funds ang pwede mo i-withdraw. Then of course, number 3 ka. So sa lahat ng mga ahensya ng gobyerno, basically you're a VIP there. Ang daming perks po ang pagiging Senate President. No? So when the 4 of them says na, Alan, bumitiw ka na lang, huwag kang kumapit sa posisyon. No? First and foremost, nagulat ako na these personalities, especially Senator Drilon and Senator Coco, who were staunch anti-Marcos personalities, suddenly Marcos na rin. No? I'll go to that later, but what's my point? Sila na-enjoy nila lahat yan. Ako, the day na tinanggap ko at sinabi ko sa mga kasamahan ko, I'm up to the challenge. Kasi nung sinabi sa akin ni Senator Loren, ikaw na, Alan, kumilos na tayo. Nagtanong muna ako I went to Senator Cheese and said na, ako ba dapat talaga pa? But the day na tinanggap ko, I knew, I will not be an ordinary SP. This isn't the usual, di ba, na first among equals ka, na malaki pondo mo. I knew, laban to ng katotohanan. And I was told already na linggo-linggo, sisubukan kang alisin, laging araw-araw. And I knew na grabe ang gagawin nila, pero hindi ko na-imagine talaga na I knew they were going to throw at me the kitchen sink. But I didn't know that pati yung kitchen itatapon nila. We knew na bubuhayin yung kaso laban sa iba sa amin, pero hindi namin alam na ganun talaga yung pressure na gagamitin. No? But the reason I bring that up, I wanted to emphasize, hindi kami nagkulang sa trying to build bridges. So finally, nung naka-first base kami, kausap namin ilan high officials and then hanggang umabot sa Malacanang, we communicated that you can trust us in me in particular and the group kasi nakausap ko na yung grupo. Gagawin namin maayos ang impeachment. Hindi namin papangako boto namin, but we will commit na we will listen to the evidence, we will view, we will hold it together with the legislative. Nag-commit din kami dun sa economic. Sabi namin, pagdating sa Blue Ribbon, aayusin natin yung mga hearings na hindi maapektuhan yung ating mga negosyante. But ako, sabi ko, kailangan lumabas yung totoo. Okay? So, hindi po kami nagkulang. So, yung 11 sa pagko-convince sa Malacanang na kalaban yan. So, the problem is they kept on inching towards doing illegal and immoral things until we got to the situation we are in here today. So yun po yung basic context of how we got here today. But more important than the state of the Senate is the state of the nation. So let me go to that. Sabi nila po, yung hindi marunong lumingon sa kanyang pinanggalingan ay hindi makakarating sa kanyang paruroonan. Sabi nila, history repeats itself. So, nung sinabing never again, nagulat tayo, bakit again? But I think all of us, not only those who voted for the Marcos Duterte team, but even those who didn't, were praying and hoping maging successful dahil ang success ng administrasyon na to ay success natin lahat. Ano naging problema? Slowly and clearly, a pattern of corruption was shown. And then, nung sinabi ng Pangulo, mahiya naman kayo, lumabas po dito yung pinakamalaking corruption scam sa Pilipinas, involving trillions of pesos, including stolen money of at least hundreds of billions of pesos. By the way, si Senator Joel was one of those who first warned about it. So, kung ang sasabihin nila, paano naging Pangulo yon dahil he warned about it. Well, winarn ng Pangulo, that was, I think, SONA ng 2025. But si Joel has been warning since 2023. To be fair, panahon pa ni Duterte, sinasabi niya na bantayan yung flood control sa Bulacan. So, what is the state of the nation? Remember when President Marcos Sr. was elected, he was very, very popular. No? I think he still is one of the greatest orators of the Philippines. And he knew our culture. Alam niya yung damdamin ng Pilipino eh. At alam niya nung mga panahon na yon, when communism was sweeping the world, when there was the Cold War, and then it was sweeping Southeast Asia. And you know, if you look at Southeast Asia, it looked like a region na sigurado ang gera. We had a conflict with Malaysia over, hindi pa yung South China Sea noon, yung Sabah pa. And then, iba-iba ang religion at iba-iba ang form of government, no, ng Thailand, Singapore and Malaysia had a problem. Thailand had a problem with its neighbors, diba? Kaya kung hindi nga nagkaroon ng ASEAN, maaring naging war-torn ang ASEAN countries. But my point is, nagamit yung fear of communism, and then because from number 2 in the world sa ekonomiya, we were number 2, number 1 ang Japan sa region natin sa Asia, number 2 ang Pilipinas, then suddenly number 2, number 3 tayo sa bottom, di ba? After by the time na mag-EDSA revolution na. But the point is, ginamit yung economic crisis, ginamit yung class war, 'di ba, yung oligarchs, yung control ng oligarchy sa Kongreso at sa ating ekonomiya at yung komunista. So it was such a big fear that many accepted martial law, 'di ba? And that's how we lost our democracy. So by the time na we regained it in 1986, an Aquino had to give his life, and then there was a need of the people to march on EDSA in the EDSA revolution. So fast forward, EDSA 1, EDSA 2, EDSA 3, iba-ibang stories, but we continued to fight corruption. And there were different kinds of abuses. But what's happening now? Basically, what's happening now is for the fear that magkaroon ulit ng Duterte administration, kampi na lang tayo lahat sa Malacanang. Diba? That's why sabi ko, meron tayong Marcos pa rin. These are the loyalists from the start. And of course, the Dutertes and Marcos ran together in 2022. But you've always had those who continued the legacy of President Cory Aquino and one of our country's heroes, Senator Benigno Aquino. Yung, whether you call them Dilaw, whether you call them, yung halo-halo, yung Laban, PDP Laban, all these political parties, dilaw tapos naging pink because nga nagkaroon ng mga issues during the Duterte time, no? Pero nagulat nga ako na gumising tayo isang araw, dalawa yung kampo. Kampo ng Duterte at yung Marcos pa rin na nagsama na yung Marcos na rin. And nagulat ako because even the extreme left, even some of the extreme right, yung mga fascista at saka yung ibang mga katulad ni Senator Lacson na more rightist ang ideology and then yung leftist ang ideology. Yung dalawang paksyon nga, nagkasundo eh. Mas mabuti yung mas extreme or yung affirmist kasi kahit papano, nagkri-criticize din. But yung grupo nila Risa, Ontiveros, nila Ronald Llamas, talagang puring-puri na sa Marcos administration, no? So, naging Marcos na rin. So, nagulat din ako. People like Senator Drilon, people like Senator Coco. Because Senator Coco may tampo sa mga Duterte. So, never mind na lumalabas Marcos na rin. Ang importante, to prevent another Duterte administration. And I don't blame those who think that extrajudicial killing is a essential part of any Duterte administration. I don't take that against you. Yan yung paniniwala nyo. Iba paniniwala namin, iba tingin namin sa drug war, iba tingin nyo. But my point is this. In the same way that oligarchs, communism, and the economic crisis was used to lose our democracy, malayo na malapit na yung panahon na we're losing our democracy because of an economic crisis which is here, because of fear of another Duterte administration, and then because of the flood control na sobrang daming tatamaan sa ating lipunan. So, the moment of truth is coming, and I use it literally, the moment of truth. Ang issue ngayon, katotohanan. Democracy is also an issue, but the issue is truth. Do you want a Senate that will cover up the truth? So, pinipilit ni Senator Erwin Tulfo na mag-hearing sa Monday, even if we know that yung na bogus, peke, hindi totoo yung kanilang session, so hindi rin totoo na acting Senate President si Win Gatchalian, at hindi rin siya totoong chairman ng Blue Ribbon Committee. Sabi sa akin ng media nung Thursday, Sir, anong ebidensya mo na ang Malacanang ay involved? Well, aside from sino pa ba pwede magpadala ng NBI ng 2 araw kung hindi Malacanang? Yung saan ba nag-meeting yung 11, hindi ba sa Malacanang din? O ba't pangatlo, anong sabi nilang ebidensya? Ano sabi ni, di ba ang isda sa bibig talaga nahuhuli? Ano sabi ni former Senate President Tito Soto? Ang naniniwala na kami ang majority at si Senator Win ang acting Senate President ay Malacanang House of Representatives. Ikaw na nagsabi, Malacanang, kasama sa plano eh. O yun din ang sinabi ni Senator Win. Para walang gulo sa bangko, sa mga empleyado, tanong natin sa civil service. So, yun po ang sinasabi kong, guys, kung mahal nyo si Senator Win, huwag nyo sirain yung kanyang future. Saan ka nakakita ng Senate President, unang gagawin, imbitahin yung SILG, yung Secretary of Interior and Local Government, para ayusin yung peace and order sa Senate. May sarili tayong USAA, may contingent tayo ng Marines PNP, may PNP sa labas. Pag kulang yon, you can request the PNP. Hindi mo pinapapunta yung SILG mismo. Ngayon naman, ang magde-decide kung sinong Senate President, hindi rules natin, hindi konstitusyon natin, civil service. Sino ba nag-appoint ng Civil Service Commission? Malacanang din, di ba? So, napakahirap po. But I'll offer you a solution, Senator Win. Mag-meeting tayo, may naiisip akong solusyon. Mahirap umanap tayo ng solusyon kung sino ang tunay na Senate President kasi yung 3 libro na hawak ko ay nagsasabing yung legitimate Senate President, yung nahalal nung 13. No? By the way, guys, let me go to that muna na mabilis. Ito. Sabi po sa Philippine Constitution, hindi lang to sa rules, sa Philippine Constitution, nakalagay po dito, the Senate shall elect its President and the House of Representatives its Speaker by a majority vote of all its members. Of all its members. Iba po yun sa sinasabi dito, a majority of each House shall constitute a quorum to do business, but a smaller number may adjourn from day to day. So yung a majority of each House and a majority of all its members, magkaiba yon. At sinasabi din dito po na, meron po kasi dito yung about each house being able to pass its own rules, no? Each house may determine the rules of its proceedings. So kung titingnan mo ang rules natin, yung officers po, yung secretary, yung sergeant at arms, Senate President pro tempore at Senate President, 13 ang kailangan. Kasi all members. So, ang Constitution ay nagbibigay ng power sa rules at sinasabi po dito sa dalawa na kailangan 13. So, kung walang 13, hindi kayo tunay. Going back to yung hearing ni Senator Erwin, the 12 might want to rein him in even during martial law, even during the abuse of arrest, kaliwat kanan at yung mga torture, wala pong high official na nagsabing, kwekwelyuhan ko yan, ako mismo arrestuhin ko yan, etc. So, it's incredible that you'll have a human being speaking like that. Kaya sa sulat ni former Congressman Michael Defensor, dapat ang sagot namin ay simpleng umattend kayo sa legitimate na Blue Ribbon Committee dahil yun ang may legal protection. Pero siguro idadagdag ko dun sa sulat na yung ganun mental state ng isang senator tapos siya ang magiging chairman, walang makakapag-guarantee ng inyong safety doon. At tandaan nyo po, tapos na po tayo doon sa 18 Marines. Kung gusto nila ipatawag ulit under Senator Marcoleta, pwede mag-attend sila Senator Win. Pero nandun pa tayo sa 2 o 3 witnesses na ang bibigat at may mga dokumento at talagang mayayanig yung ating bansa. Kaya po nagkakaroon ng ganito. Ang problema po, kaya sinabi kong malapit, malayo. Every time that the truth is about to come out, wini-weaken yung institutions. Winiken po ang House of Representatives, winiken po ang Senate. Sabi ni Senator Lacson, sirang-sira ng Senado. Ikaw naman sumira sa Senado through false testimony witness using the Blue Ribbon laban sa ating mga kasama. So, etong mga kaganapan ng May 11-13, Malacanang ang may control dyan sa NBI, hindi sa amin. Tapos iwa-whitewash nyo pa para sabihin wala ang mga NBI sa loob ng Senado. So, tama yung sinabi ni Senator Gringo. Pag armado ka at dapat nandun ka, wala ka doon at nandun ka, bakit papagalitan mo yung reaksyon? So, he was talking about yung mga panahon ng kudeta. So, kung may mga sundalo sa labas ng Malacanang, natural na magwa-warning shot ang mga taga-Malacanang, paalisin ka. So, ginulpi na nila ang isang taga-Osaa, hinabol nila ang isang senador sa loob ng Senado. So, natural, nung pinaligiran nila ang Senado at they crossed over from GSIS into the Senate na naka-full battle gear, natural na magkakaroon ng warning shot. And then, ang sisisihin kami. Hindi yung nanggugulo. So, the point is, these hearings, you had your chance to have hearings. Ilang buwan naman kayo na hindi nag-hearing. Di ba? So, siguro, ang haba na ng sinabi ko, my point is, mga kababayan, who are we as Filipinos? So, I had to think about my role. Komportable ako sa pagso-soul search ko, sa role ko po in transforming the nation, sa role ko po bilang isang Kristiyanong may pinaglalaban. Komportable po ako, quiet life with family, building our city. Pero nung tinawag ako, step up, be with the senators, be our leader, I had to say yes. Kasi yun yung role na binibigay sa akin. I knew I wouldn't enjoy the perks. I knew na baka kasuhan muna, kulong, intimidate, offer. But kailangan ko lakasan loob ko I have to put my whole faith in God. Today, day by day lang ako nabubuhay. Day by day, Lord, anong pinapagawa mo sa akin? So, dun sa mga nagpe-pray for us, pati mga nag-open letter, I don't get offended. Tama yung sinabi nyo. Ang prayer ko should be, Lord, saan mo ako gusto at anong dapat kong gawin? So, I'll stop there, but you also have to ask yourself that question. Whether you're a doctor, you're a lawyer, you're a soldier, wala kang trabaho, barangay tanod, anong role mo? Definitely to pray. Pero ano sa pagkikilos? Pagpo-post, pagproprotesta, pagpapanood kung ano nangyayari, let your voice be heard. Yung IBP, ngayon nagsasalita pa isa-isa yung mga abogado. I mean, ang daming issues sa quorum, etc. But in electing the officers, kahit basta't marunong magbasa, majority of all the members, di ba? Kaya nga sabi ng Malacanang, nire-review pa nila Constitution. Ang problema, they're bending the law and they're bending the Constitution, which is weakening institutions. At kaya nga tayo napunta sa diktatorya during that time. So in one sense, malapit na tayo because we keep trying to hide the truth. Okay? Ulitin ko In one sense, malapit na po tayo kasi ilang institusyon na ang binaboy natin Nandun na tayo sa Senado And then, lahat ginagawa, hindi lumabas yung totoo. In the other sense, malayo pa. Kasi wala pa namang official declaration, etc., etc. Pero nagsusumula na Basta't ikaw ay kalaban, actually matagal na nagsimula yun, basta't ikaw kalaban ay kulong ka. Pero bailable yun Ngayon yung non-bailable na ginagawa. At ang masama, dati lumalaban yung institusyon. So nung pinadlak ang Senado, nagkaisa lahat ng senador, at least more or less, no, na wag nyo ipadlock yung Senado. Ngayon kasi, kapwa senador pa ang kumakampi sa Malacanang. Diba? That's why, hindi ko na sinasagot isa-isa eh. Kasi nga, team cover up between team ilabas yung totoo. Team independent versus yung team na ang Senado dapat kontrolado ng Malacanang. O sasabihin na, di, kasi kay Tito Soto or kay Win Gatchalian, maayos yung Senate. Maayos nga yung Senate kasi hindi nyo nilalabas yung totoo, tapos nandun kayo sa ilalim ng Malacanang. So, I continue to offer Malacanang a partnership, but check and balances tayo, no? So, weekend, Sunday time to think. So, wala namang problema, filean ako ng kaso. But for example, yung Tindig Pilipinas Kiko D, legacy ni President Cory Aquino is democracy. Legacy ni Senator Benigno Aquino is giving his life to fight for freedom and democracy. And then magpapagamit kayo sa Malacanang. Obstruction of justice. Sinabi na nung NBI, walang warrant na binigay sa amin. Sinabi na ng PNP at SILG, pumunta sila doon, hindi para arestuhin dahil wala pa namang warrant. So, paano naging obstruction of justice at paano pinatakas si Bato kung wala namang warrant? So, let me address myself to Pico D and the other Aquinos, even to Senator Bam, no? Ang legacy nyo, democracy. Then Marcos na rin. So, no problem. Legacy din nila is against extrajudicial killings. So, kung yung ipaglaban nyo yun. Legacy din ng mga Aquino is to sacrifice for the nation. So, if your sacrifice is fighting the Dutertes, okay yun. Pero okay sa inyo babuyin yung Senado. Okay sa inyo wag ilabas yung totoo sa flood control. Di ba, kaya nga, laban eh. Laban yung laban. Hiramin ko muna. Kasi hindi nyo ginagamit eh. Di ba? So, alam nyo naman, di ba, sa aktivista, ganyan. Sa Duterte, ganyan. Kailangan neutral ako eh. Dahil senator judge din ako. Ako pa magpre-preside ng impeachment. Pero pera muna nung laban. Kasi paano pag wala nang lumaban para sa Pilipinas? Paano kung Marcos na rin? So mga kababayan, let me end this way. Kung comfort lang po, sumang-ayon na po ako sa administrasyon. My life will be totally much easier, but I couldn't live with myself. Why? Life without a purpose is not living. Diba? You all have to consult your maker. Is this the kind of world that the Philippine Constitution wants? Is this the kind of world that the Bible tells us, the kind of Philippines we want, di ba? So, you might not like me, you might not agree with my politics, I'm not perfect, some of you might not even trust me. And if I'm wrong, then tama feelings nyo. But what if I'm right? How many of us didn't listen to the signs in 1970s? And what happened for 20 years? So what if I'm wrong now? You don't have to like me. My stay as Senate President is limited. But every day that I'm here, laban po tayo. So, hindi natin kalaban ang Malacanang. Pero kalaban natin kasinungalingan. Kalaban natin yung nagpupunit ng pahina ng konstitusyon. So, mga kababayan, tonight, tomorrow, let's say a prayer. But let's ask ourselves, who are we? Anong identity natin? Paano natin maitutuloy yung laban? Hindi pwedeng everyday may bagong issue na lang. Issue May 11, habulin si Bato. Issue May 13, NBI attack the Senate o hindi. Issue ng walkout, 12 kayo, okay. Nung kami hindi dumating, 12 kayo, okay. Tapos, para hindi mapag-usapan yung testimony ng 18 Marines, magme-meltdown, magbabalistik si Erwin Tulfo. Tapos, para yun ang news. Tapos bukas, tatakutin lahat ng mga empleyado ng Senado na bibit-bitin, kakasuhan. Ulitin ko yung sinabi ko sa media, lahat ng kapangyarihan nasa kanila. Ang nasa aming katotohanan. But despite that, I'm willing to tonight and tomorrow, we'll be thinking of a way. Paano po hindi maipit ang mga empleyado? Paano po na yung mga bangko masunod ng tama? Anong tamang legal remedies natin? On that aspect, we can talk and find a way. Pero when it comes to truth, ibabalik ko ngayon sa majority yon. You really believe what you're preaching about the flood control? You really believe na after putting to jail some to get the quorum, they won't put more in jail to get... Gagawin kasi 18 na lang ang senador para 12 convicted na. At pagkatapos nun, manipulate na naman yung numero at saka yung konstitusyon para palitan yung konstitusyon. Again, if I'm wrong, then baliwalain nyo lahat ng sinabi ko. I'm just one other politician telling you garbage. But if I'm correct, and I hope that I am not correct, then we have to put faith into our actions. Kailangan natin lumaban at kailangan natin humanap ng paraan para ipakita na hindi tayo papayag na muli pong ikulong ang ating demokrasya, na muling nakawin ang freedom ng bawat Pilipino. God bless you. God bless the Philippines.